Alright guys, what is up? I'm here to talk about the importance of spiritual work and conscious development. I think it's the most important path a human being could ever take, the most rewarding. And I make this video because I want to encourage people who are on the path or are seeking to get into the path to put their whole heart into this, because oftentimes the work is very discouraging. You might be depressed, you might be lonely at times, you'll hit a lot of roadblocks, but this work is the most important thing a human being could ever do, and I'm going to explain why in this video. So first I'm going to talk a bit about ego, the state that 99% of humanity is acting strongly on, and how this affects our societal systems, political, economical, etc., and how this affects how the average person views the self in relation to reality. We all just find ourselves here in this body, perceiving the body's thoughts, desires, and triggers and whatnot. So we come to this world, we identify this as ourselves, because obviously it is. We don't know anything else besides ourselves. So we try to give the body what it needs to survive. Food, water, shelter, all the essentials. And I think I speak for most people when we have our physical survival needs met. Food, water, and shelter all come easy to us. I think that's a prerequisite to even being able to watch this video. Otherwise, you wouldn't have a device necessary to watch the video. But, this survival mechanism that seeks the body's survival on a physical level, that mechanism acts on a higher level of human dynamics, on the social level. And this is where the ego will crave things like money, power, status, influence, sex, all these sorts of things. And this is literally just the body's survival mechanism acting on a higher level. And all of our political systems, economic systems in society directly reflect this state of consciousness. So I live in America. I know 60% of my subscribers do as well. So I think I speak for most of the people watching this video, even if you don't live in America, that we live in a world that is very individualistic, very ego-driven, and very capitalist, where the emphasis is about being something, where the emphasis is about differentiating yourself from the herd, and success is often defined by how much money you make, how much capital you accumulate, and you can only be deemed rich if everyone else is more poor than you. So it's a hierarchical system. The rich are at the top and the poor are at the bottom, working long, hard hours just to get by, just to survive. And the rich are using the poor people to exploit them for their labor, kind of keeping them living in a cycle of survival. And it's very sad. Millions of people are suffering greatly because of this. We definitely, the system right now is definitely not ideal. To view reality through the lens of the ego is to sort of view everyone and everything else as competition. And it's kind of to view reality as a game to please the ego, to advance its own agenda. And when you're strong in ego, you care for yourself and your immediate associates, like your family, your friends, or your company or whatever. But outside of things that directly affect oneself, the ego doesn't really care about anything else. So it's not really in tune with the problems of the rest of humanity. It's kind of blind to the suffering that others are going through, and blind to the suffering that the individual is either directly or indirectly causing to someone else. So the reason awakening is so important, because it gets one out of the cocoon that is the ego. To live in awakened consciousness is to live beyond survival. It's to live in love for all things, because as you go deeper into the spiritual work and conscious development, you begin to see the sameness in everyone and everything. You realize reality is one giant unified field, and this body that I'm in is just a tiny piece of that unified field. But we all live in the same world. We all come from the same source. So to view the world in awakened consciousness is to sort of view reality as one big giant family. and that's a perfectly true thing to assume. It is factual that we are one big giant family. We've lost that sense of community because a few 100,000 years ago, Homo sapiens, us, we evolved from ancient hominids, and in those past couple 100,000 years we've dispersed across the planet, and there's 8 billion of us now. So of course we've lost that sense of community. But if you want to take this even further, the matter that composed your body and my body through billions of years of evolution, that was all spewed into the universe in the Big Bang, and then Now the universe intelligently engineered us to be here in the now, in this form. So that's a beautiful thing. And you're a part of this intelligent unfolding process that is the universe, and you want to live in survival. You just want to live to maintain your form, even though all form is impermanent anyway. I find much more meaning and value in life when I live for a higher purpose and a deeper meaning. I don't want to live just to survive. I don't want to just live in ego. I want to be here to contribute something to the unfolding process that is the universe, that is moving life forms toward higher complexity, towards higher consciousness, because we are literally the universe experiencing itself. That's exactly what we are. We are seeking to understand ourselves. Everything you've ever known, everyone you know, that is you. You just don't realize it because you're in ego. And you realize, as you go deeper into this spiritual work, that, any boundary that was perceived, any separation that you believed you had between yourself and everything else, that all that separation was concocted by the ego. Because it wanted to survive, it had to, put up a wall, it had to put up a facade between self and other, so it could survive, so it could live, so it could maintain its form, so it could advance its own agenda. So I'm just going to let you imagine what you think the world would be like if everyone was working towards awakening, or if everyone was awakened. I'm not even going to say my opinions. Just you imagine. I guarantee the world would be a whole hell of a lot better than it is now. All of our societal systems, all our economic systems, all of our political systems directly reflect that of the collective consciousness of humanity. And the collective consciousness is strongly rooted in ego. So of course we're going to live in this very individual-oriented, ego-driven society. Of course we are. So if we want to one day make that change for the better, if we want to create a better system for the world for everybody to live in, so it starts with people like you and me doing the spiritual work and seeking to break free of the ego, to live for a higher purpose, to live for love, to live in non-duality, to see everything as the same as you, because that's exactly what it is. So, the more and more people that awaken, the more awakened consciousness we're going to have in the collective. And the more awakened consciousness we have in the collective, the more wholesome all of our systems of the world are going to be. So be a part of this intelligent, unfolding process that is going here on Earth. Be a part of the global awakening. Let's do this spiritual work. It's not going to be easy. We'll probably never be perfect. We all have our limiting beliefs. We all have our biases. We all have our attachments and whatnot. But it's the determination to break free, to live for a higher purpose, is what really matters. If you're living for love and not for survival, you're doing a great service for humanity. And you're not just helping humanity, you're helping yourself. Were you the universe wanting to understand itself, and for the universe to better understand itself, to me it seems inevitable that the ego has to be shed away, at least to some extent. The ego keeps us restricted by its own agenda, by everything it seeks and desires. We're restricted by that. We're a slave to that. And that creates a lot of suffering, not only for the individual, but for everyone else the ego affects in life. So let's break free of that. I want to live in a world where everyone is living in love and everyone is living for that higher purpose. Imagine, just hypothetically, that you are God. And imagine that you are going to live through every single human life ever. You'll feel everyone's pain. You'll feel every human's joy. You'll be every human, ever. With that knowledge, what world would you want to create? I guarantee it would be a whole hell of a lot better than it is now. The world now is so flawed, oriented towards the ego. Let's create a new world. It'll probably never actualize in our lifetime, but we can at least get the process going. Be a part of this process. That's why this spiritual work is the most important thing a human being could ever do. So I really hope I inspired you to take this work seriously. I'm going to be coming out with a lot of new videos in the future, you know, documenting my journey, and I'll give some tips and stuff about how to go through this journey. You know, I don't have all the answers. I'm still rooted in eco to an extent, but I want to break free. So subscribe if you haven't already. Like the video, comment, promotes the video so more people can see it. And that's really all I gotta say for this video, guys. Have a great day, and peace.